Alright fellow Okadus, today we're diving into the ultimate showdown and ranking the top 10 smartest anime villains of all time. And trust us, these aren't just your run-of-the-mill bad guys. We're talking master strategists, manipulative geniuses, and cold-blooded puppet masters who kept our heroes at toes. And to keep things fair, we're sticking strictly to the villains from TV anime series, no movie-only baddies. You can expect a mix of classics and modern icons across genres and eras as we go from number 10 to number 1. Strap in because it's about to get high energy, dramatic, and a little bit roasty, so let's just jump right in. 10. Don Quixote do Flamingo, One Piece, the String Puppet King. At number 10, we have Don Quixote do Flamingo from One Piece, the twisted ex-warlord of the sea. Doflamingo isn't the strongest fighter on this list, but his cunning and cruelty are next level. He secretly ran an underworld empire while playing the good guy King of Dressrosa, only revealing his true colors once he had trapped the Straw Hats under his birdcage. Doffy's smart moves include playing both sides, brokering illegal deals under the table, and keeping everyone fooled above deck. He knew exactly how to manipulate people, and even puppeteer others literally with his string powers, to stay untouchable. In short, he conquered a kingdom without anyone realizing he was the real villain until it was too late, proving brains can beat brawn in anime politics. 9. Orochimaru, Naruto, the immortality-obsessed snake. Coming in at number 9 is Orochimaru, the snake-obsessed rogue ninja from Naruto. This guy is listed as having genius-level intellect plus mastery of strategy and manipulation. He reverse engineers people as easily as he reverse engineers jutsu, mind, motive, and biology all on the lab bench. Remember how he manipulated Konohagakure's darkest secrets, taught Sasuke forbidden jutsu, and even burrowed his way into other villages? Every border was a suggestion, every prodigy a project, every secret a stepping stone towards something uglier and smarter. Orochimaru was essentially the mad scientist of shinobi, performing horrific experiments, like injecting Hashirama's cells into children, to extend his life and learn every jutsu. Even after losing his arm, he sneakily learned methods to transfer his soul so he could cheat death forever. All this scheming lines up with the fact that his powers/skills include genius-level intellect, manipulation, and mastery of strategy. 8. Father, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, the god-seeking homunculus. At number 8 is Father, the Dwarf in the Flask. From Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Father started out as a pile of knowledge in a flask and grew into a god-aspiring villain thanks to one brutal plan after another. He basically founded an entire nation with a secret, using the people of Xerxes as a giant philosopher's stone so he could open the gate of truth and ascend to godhood. This genocidal plot was centuries in the making, and Father treated everyone as just tools to use. He even let his own homunculi, like Pride and Envy, run around causing chaos, all while pulling the strings from behind the scenes. By the end, Father had been orchestrating wars and sacrifices just to gather souls and power. His brain power is terrifying. He runs on pure logic and arrogance, convinced he's above human emotions. 7. Shinobu Sensui, Yu Yu Hakusho, the Seven Souls Strategist. Sliding into number 7 is Shinobu Sensui from Yu Yu Hakusho. Sensui was a former spirit detective turned maniac, and boy, did he flip the script. After a brutal encounter, his mind shattered into 7 personalities, each specializing in things like violence, planning, or manipulation. Despite his madness, his core intelligence is through the roof. Sensui wasn't just strong, he was extraordinarily intelligent, a master manipulator who could predict and outmaneuver even Spirit World's top strategists. With a mind this sharp, he didn't just think outside the box, he broke the Spirit World's barrier wide open by orchestrating a demon tunnel, proving he was always 10 moves ahead. 6. Kyuubi, Puella Magi Madoka Magica, the Emotionless Planner. Rank number 6 is going to the deceptively cute Kyuubi from Puella Magi Madoka Magica. Kyuubi is a cold, calculating alien. His entire goal is to collect energy by manipulating girls into become magical girls and then witches. Kyuubi knows exactly how to twist information. He withholds the brutal truth of what becoming a magical girl entails, and instead feeds hopeful lies to the girls. Kyuubi masterfully manipulates emotions and plays on sentiment, all while coldly claiming he doesn't even understand human feelings, making his schemes all the more chilling. In short, Kyuubi runs on pure logic and won't lie per se, but he'll only tell you half the story if it seals the deal. His silent grin and polite tone hide an utterly utilitarian mindset. So yes, that cuddly little incubator is up to some seriously evil long-term planning, and that's why he's here. 5. Sukuna, Jujutsu Kaisen, the cursed king who reads moves like chess. At number 5 is the king of curses, Ryomen Sukuna. More than just a power fantasy villain, he's a tactical genius who always stays 3 steps ahead. Despite massive arrogance, he's shocking in how quickly he analyzes opponent techniques, adapts mid-fight, and exploits both physical and psychological gaps in his foes. For example, in his battle with Mahoraga, Sukuna studied the Shikigami's adaptive abilities after observing it only once or twice and was able to defeat it by deducing its inner workings. He also manipulated Hana Kurusu using Megumi's memories, tricking her into believing Megumi was in control so she'd let her guard down, only for Sukuna to strike. When pushed to the brink, such as during Gojo's attack using Hollow Purple, Sukuna didn't panic. He used a binding vow to turn conditions in his favor and survive when many thought he was overpowered. Even more telling, Sukuna's ability to remain calm and form long-term plans. He's patient. He doesn't need every finger to act. He can wait, bind vows, reposition loyalties, and exploit human emotions. 4. Shogo Makishima, Psychopass, the nihilist genius. Halfway through at number 4 is Shogo Makishima, the charismatic terrorist from Psychopass. Makishima is basically the only person in a high-tech society whose criminal intent the computer can't detect, so he's free to dance circles around everyone. He truly believes himself to be the last sane man in an insane world, and he designs brutal mind games to prove it. One blogger even calls Makishima one of the most logical characters in the entire series, saying virtually every action he takes is performed for a carefully thought-out reason. He outsmarts the police by thinking decades ahead. He orchestrates fake public threats and riots to distract them while he digs into the government's darkest secret. Makishima's intelligence is stealthy and cold. He flicks a cigarette with a smirk knowing your dominator won't work on him. He's a villain who will calmly explain why you should kill your best friend just to test you, and genuinely believes he's doing everyone a favor. In other words, Makishima's mind games make him smarter than most heroes can even grasp. 3. Sosuke Aizen, Bleach, the master manipulator. At number 3 is Sosuke Aizen from Bleach. Aizen is basically the poster child for evil mastermind. He fooled everyone for over a century. In the Soul Society's history, no one had a clue Aizen was the super smart villain behind the scenes until his big reveal. He was extremely cruel, selfish, and heartless, cunning and dangerously manipulative, and treated everyone around him as mere pawns in his grand plan. He was that calm, polite kid in class before finally ripping off his facade. Aizen's true talent is strategy. He secretly gathered an army of hollows, the Arankars, and engineered attacks that always left him in control. He literally obtained the Hogyoku and learned every trick imaginable, all without raising suspicion. For example, Aizen convinced Momo Hinamori to work for him just by flattery. After his betrayal, he almost succeeded in sacrificing an entire human town to create the Uken and reshape reality. 2. Johann Liebert, Monster, the psychopathic puppeteer. Taking our number 2 spot is Johann Liebert from Monster. Now, Monster is more psychological thriller than shonen, but Johann is legendary among anime villains for his sheer mind control. This guy has no superpowers, yet he's the reason hundreds died. Johann possesses charisma and intelligence, but is also cunning, manipulative, and deceitful. He pretended to be a kind, gentle savior of children, all the while orchestrating terror in Europe. He held an entire town hostage through suggestion alone, had school children turn on each other in panic, and even handled a massive money laundering empire, all by using people's fears and secrets against them. One critic summed Johann up perfectly. Despite having no special abilities, he is a human being. And that is precisely what makes him so terrifying. He manipulated over 50 people to kill one another through suggestion alone, framed his doctor for murder, and ran a network of killers, purely with his wits. Johann's evil is almost artful. He smiles as he discusses existential emptiness while his victims crumble emotionally. In a battle of wits with Dr. Tenma, the hero, Johann is always one step ahead, leaving clues, twisting reality, and leaving chaos in his wake. Simply put, Johann is a textbook psychopath with a genius-level strategy. He turns everyone into his unwitting puppet, then cuts the strings when he's done. But before we reveal number 1, let's shine a spotlight on a few villains who were just too smart to leave off the list. Griffith, Berserk. Griffith from Berserk is the definition of ambition wrapped in genius. As leader of the Band of the Hawk, he didn't just fight his way to glory, he planned, charmed, and manipulated his way into high society. Griffith was a master of social strategy, knowing exactly when to flatter nobles, when to gamble on risky battles, and when to play the long game. Every move was calculated to bring him closer to his dream of ruling a kingdom. His betrayal during the eclipse wasn't a spur-of-the-moment slip, it was the ultimate execution of his lifelong plan. Cold, charismatic, and terrifyingly intelligent, Griffith proved that intelligence in anime villains can cut just as deep as any blade. Madara Uchiha, Naruto. Few villains in Shunin history pulled off as many long-term plays as Madara Uchiha. Centuries after his death, his shadow still loomed over the ninja world. Madara foresaw conflicts, planted the seeds of manipulation in Obito, and engineered events so flawlessly that the Fourth Great Ninja War unfolded exactly how he envisioned. He wasn't just physically unstoppable, his strategic foresight was jaw-dropping. Madara created entire philosophies and fake histories to manipulate nations into chaos, just so he could revive the Eye of the Moon plan. Even when resurrected, he continued outsmarting KJ-level opponents with traps, counter-strategies, and his unshakable will. Madara's genius wasn't about quick tricks, it was about seeing the future of the ninja world and bending it to his design. 1. Light Yagami, Death Note, God's Justice, Judged. And finally, the #1 spot goes to Light Yagami, Kira, from Death Note. Love him or hate him, you can't deny Light's intellect. He starts as an ordinary top student and ends up playing matchmaker with death itself. As one character summary bluntly states, Light is an extremely clever, psychopathic, and sly master manipulator. By day, he's an innocent teenager. By night, he's remorselessly writing criminals' names in the Death Note. His biggest trick? Turning a notebook into the deadliest weapon and then using it to challenge L, the world's greatest detective. Light's methods are textbook villain genius. He plants a fake notebook in police custody to scare off L's agents, orchestrates a situation where multiple Kiras appear so he can escape suspicion, and even uses other people as unwitting killers. He convinced Misa and Takada that he loved them, all while planning to dispose of them once they were useful. Every move had layers of manipulation. For example, he once had cops shoot at a supposedly immune child to create an alibi, a scheme so convoluted it needed four-way bait and switching. Through it all, Light bragged about playing God and declaring all those earnest people. They always lose. The intelligence here is on display. He can truly act like the nicest guy in the world, and yet be pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Light's downfall was that he eventually underestimated L and became overconfident. But even dying, he'd say it was all part of God's justice. Whether you find him reprehensible or brilliant, Light embodies the smart villain trope. He stayed ahead of the heroes almost every episode, and his whole life was one epic battle of wits. That cunning master plan to create his own utopia and burn the losers earns him our top spot. And that's our countdown of the top 10 smartest anime villains. These are the ones whose brains made our heroes sweat bullets. Who do you think deserved the #1 spot? Light, Johan, or someone else? Drop your thoughts below and tell us which cunning villain we left out. We love a good debate. Just remember, it's all in good fun and maybe a little roast. See you next time, and don't forget to share your favorite mastermind villain.